One thing I've noticed over the last few years is just how many people use nicotine now. Like seriously, maybe it's just me, but it feels like it's everywhere. You go out with friends, somebody has a vape. You're hanging out somewhere, somebody pulls out a pouch. You're scrolling online and somehow somebody's setting a vape on camera. It's gotten to the point where nobody's even surprised by it anymore. And honestly, I think that's the weirdest part. Not that people use nicotine, is that we've gotten so used to it. If somebody told me they vape, I'd probably react the same way I'd react if they told me they drink coffee. It just become normal. And that's kinda crazy when you think about it, because nicotine is one of the most addictive things people regularly use, yet most people barely think about it. And the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I've seen it everywhere, at school, in friend groups, online, pretty much everywhere I go. A lot of my friends use nicotine, and if I'm being honest, I'm still addicted to nicotine myself. I'm trying to quit, but I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I've got everything figured out. I don't. That's actually part of the reason I wanted to make this video, because it's something I've dealt with myself and it's something I've seen a lot of people around me deal with too. And honestly, I think a lot of people don't realize just how common nicotine addiction has become. And honestly, part of the reason I wanted to make this video is because this isn't one of those topics where I'm looking at it from the outside. I've seen it happen firsthand. A lot of my friends use nicotine, some vape, some use snus, some smoke. And after a while, you stop noticing how weird that actually is, because it just became normal. People asking if anyone has a vape, people asking for a pouch, people saying they're trying to quit. Then a week later, they're still using it. And nobody really thinks much of it because everybody's used to seeing it. And I know people who get stressed when they're running low. I know people who always make sure they have a backup. I know people who've tried quitting multiple times and somehow always end up going back. And honestly, if you've been around nicotine for long enough, you've probably seen the exact same thing. It's one of those things you don't really notice until you actually stop and think about it. Then you realize how many people around you are hooked on it. And if you're watching this and you use nicotine yourself, there's a good chance you've probably told yourself at least once, I'll quit eventually. I know I have, probably more times than I can count. So how did I start and what did I start with? Well, I've tried every type of nicotine or tobacco product. Cigarettes, vapes, IQOS, and snus, everything. But the one that stuck with me, or the one that I liked the most, is snus. I remember I got addicted to it. I believe that was around 16 or 16 and a half. I went out with a couple of friends. And a new guy started going out with us. We're still good friends to this day. We were sitting in a cafe talking and he suddenly told us, "Yo, does anyone want to try snus? I'm an avid user." And I said, "Why not?" I put one in my mouth. I believe it was a Killa Mini Ice Cherry or something like that. I'll put a picture up on it. And after 5 minutes, the buzz or the nicotine hit came and the taste of the snus was really good. And it felt good, you know, and then I had 2 more, then I bought 1 pack for myself. I used it like, I believe there are 30 pouches in one case, and I used them in like 2 weeks. Then I bought another pack, and then another. That was nearly 2.5 years ago. Then after I got used to it, the nicotine, it didn't feel good, or I didn't feel anything basically. I switched to Velo Peppermint Storm. I'll put a picture of it as well. I used them for a while, but then I slowly started realizing that I actually had a problem with this. I couldn't go for like 3 or 4 hours without a snus in my mouth, but I couldn't quit. It was very hard. So I switched to very weak Velo Cherry Ice. They are weak, but still I had to have some kind of nicotine. And those are the ones I still use, but I'm trying to lower my amount. That's exactly why I don't think most people plan on becoming addicted, because it usually starts with something as simple as why not? And honestly, I don't think most people intentionally become addicted. Nobody wakes up one day and thinks, you know what sounds fun? Becoming dependent on nicotine. Usually it starts with curiosity. A friend has a vape. Someone offers you a pouch. Somebody has cigarettes. You try it once, nothing crazy happens. You don't suddenly become addicted. You don't immediately feel your life changing. So you think, what's the big deal? Then maybe you do it again. Then again. Then maybe every weekend. Then whenever somebody offers. And eventually it becomes something you expect to have around. That's probably the scariest thing about nicotine. The addiction doesn't arrive all at once. It sneaks in. One day it's something you do occasionally, a few months later it's part of your routine. And because it happens so gradually, most people don't even realize what's happening. And also, I think friend groups play a massive role in this. If none of your friends use nicotine, you're probably way less likely to start. But if half your friend group uses it, suddenly it doesn't seem like a big deal anymore. When everybody around you is doing something, it starts feeling normal, even if deep down you know it probably shouldn't be. Then one person starts, then another, and before long almost everybody is doing it. I've seen friend groups where nicotine is basically part of the culture. People constantly asking each other for a hit, sharing devices, talking about flavors, talking about brands, talking about pouches, talking about who's trying to quit this week. It's just everywhere. And after a while, people stop asking, should I be doing this? And start asking, why am I the only one not doing this? That's a huge difference. I honestly think vaping changed everything, because when most people think about smoking, they think about cigarettes, the smell, the smoke, the warnings, the image that comes with it. Most people grow up hearing cigarettes are bad, but vaping came in looking completely different. Bright colors, sweet flavors, modern design, small enough to fit in your pocket. Everything about it felt newer and less serious, and because of that, a lot of people didn't treat it with the same kind of caution, especially younger people. For a lot of teenagers, vaping doesn't even feel like smoking. It feels like its own separate thing. Even though nicotine is still nicotine, I genuinely think that's one of the biggest reasons it spread so quickly. It didn't feel dangerous, it felt normal. And this is where I think people misunderstood nicotine. The problem isn't that it instantly ruins your life. Most people who use nicotine still go to school, still go to work, still hang out with friends, still live normal lives. That's what makes it so easy to ignore. The real problem is how easy it is to become dependent on it. I've met people who can't go a few hours without nicotine, me included. People who immediately start looking for more when they're running low. People who get annoyed when they don't have access to it. And that's the scary thing, is that most of those people don't even realize how dependent they've become, because it happens so gradually. And honestly, trying to quit is probably what made me think about this topic more, because when you're actively using nicotine, you don't really think about it. It's just part of your routine. You wake up, you go about your day, and nicotine is just kinda there. But once you start trying to quit, that's when you realize how dependent you've become to it. That's when you start noticing how often you reach for it without even thinking. Everybody says, just stop, like it's that easy. If it was that easy, nobody would be addicted. The problem is that nicotine slowly becomes attached to everything. You use it when you're bored, when you're stressed, when you're gaming, when you're hanging out with friends, when you're walking somewhere, when you're waiting for something. Eventually it becomes connected to your entire routine. And once something becomes a part of your routine, getting rid of it becomes a lot harder. And social media hasn't exactly helped. You see influencers vaping, streamers vaping, people posting vape tricks, nicotine pouches getting advertised everywhere. The whole thing has become weirdly normalized online. And when you're constantly exposed to something, it starts feeling less serious, especially when you're younger. Eventually it just becomes another thing everybody does. And once that happens, it's really easy to stop thinking about the consequences. The weirdest part to me is how quickly this happened. If you went back 10 years, most people weren't carrying disposable vapes around everywhere. Now they're everywhere. School, parks, friend groups, parties, pretty much anywhere you go. And because it happened gradually, most people barely noticed. It just become a part of everyday life, almost like background noise, something that's always there. And honestly, I'm not making this video because I think nicotine users are stupid. Like I said earlier, I'm still addicted to it myself. A lot of my friends are too. That's exactly why I wanted to talk about it, because it became so normal that people barely stop and think about it anymore. For a lot of people, nicotine isn't even seen as a serious thing. It's just a part of their day. Something they reach for automatically, something they barely think about, and that's the strangest part of it all. Not how many people are addicted, but how normal we've made addiction seem. Anyways, that's just something that's been on my mind lately. Thank you for watching.